What's up, guys? It's Solo, here with another podcast called The Power of Thought, Abundance and Scarcity. And this topic came about due to multiple reasons, which I'll get into in a second, but just wanted to kind of debrief with the, and give you guys an update on where I'm at in terms of my self-improvement journey and stuff that I was talking about in previous videos here. And basically, kind of giving you guys an update, the state of the game, letting you guys know where I'm at and my thoughts on various, couple different subjects here. But first of all, one of the things that I've been noticing, I got with this allergy season, with the spring, my nose is clogged up. So if I'm sounding funny, it's because I'm trying to get adjusted to this the climate change, what's going on with spring coming up, and my allergies and whatnot. But one of the things I've noticed about me compared to last year is that my mindset has changed, and not for the better. And abundance and scarcity, the power of your thoughts are very, very powerful. And I'm pretty sure a lot of guys know this already. I'm pretty sure I'm saying a lot of stuff that's review, but you got to remind yourself, because sometimes we go through situations in life, and then we forget we forget what made us successful, or what made how confident we were before, and we let certain things knock us down, and then we get into a negative mindset, a negative pattern, and that negative pattern then accumulates and gets into more negativity, and next thing you know, you're in a situation that you feel like you're hopeless or you can't get out of. And so the power of thought, abundance and scarcity, a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to pertain to women. Typically, when you talk about abundance and scarcity, a lot of people talk about it from the financial aspect. And, I mean, I'll talk about some different things as well, and that can actually be applied to not just women, but for your business and in everyday life. But the focus is on women, because that's, what my channel is mostly about. I mean, besides self-improvement, is discussing women and whatnot. So let me take you guys back. Let me take you way back to when I was a 16-year-old kid, man. I came up in the era before social media. Back in high school. When I was in high school, you would actually talk to girls on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And if you dated a chick from another high school, then you had to put in work through the phone. And even in high school, if you dated a chick who lived 20 miles away, or 15 or 10 miles away, I mean, 10 miles is not that far, but if you're 16 years old and you don't have a car, 10, 15, 20 miles, I mean, that's like, going to a different country, if you're a kid. But long story short, I mean, when I was 16, I was knee deep in simphood. I mean, I was a super duper simp. And for you white guys who are in MGTOW or game aware, basically, a simp is a guy who's blue pill. He's beta as fuck, AFC. But I was a super simp, and I'm not afraid to admit it, man. Real shit. And so, back in the day, man, when I was in my early teens and early 20s, I used to write poetry. And then and for girls I liked, I would write them love letters and shit. And, I had a need for validation and a need to be loved, because I was insecure and I had low self-esteem and self-worth. And the funny thing is, in high school, I mean, I'm not, I did okay with girls, and if a girl liked you, I mean, love letters and poetry back, when a girl is that young, I mean, that's romantic, and they eat that shit up, you know what I mean? But nowadays, if you do that shit, it would be creepy, or if a girl didn't like you, it would be kind of weird. But one of the things that happened was when I went to college, I used to have such a scarcity mindset. And when I say scarcity mindset, I used to think that if I met a girl, that was it. She was the one. You know what I'm saying? And in the seduction community or in the manosphere, they call it one-nightus, when a guy puts a girl on a pedestal and makes her to be this special goddess or angel. You know what I'm saying? In the 40-year-old virgin, they call it pussy liar. And I've had a lot of pussy liars in my life, a lot of girls that I thought, oh, my God, she's the one. That's the girl that I'm going to wife up. I'm going to make her my wife. I'm going to marry her, and we're going to have beautiful kids and blah, blah, blah. And so in college, you know, I didn't go to a fancy schmancy college. I went to a little community college, and one of my boys at the time, we were tight friends, and, you know, I used to talk to a girl, and, you know, if a girl flaked on me or stopped talking to me, I would be so devastated. I mean, I would be just like, I'd become depressed. I'd turn into a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, real shit. I'd just, like, lose it and just be like, oh, why is she doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, my homeboy, let's call him D. D would be just like, yo, man, girls are like buses, man. Every 50 minutes, a new one is coming. And that's it's a saying that, you know, a lot of guys, you probably heard rappers say a lot. I know Gucci Mane said a few years ago. Well, D was telling me before, you know, you heard that saying in rap songs and all, before I heard it in rap songs. And he would always tell me that, you know, he'd always be like, I mean, he wasn't telling me that, hey, girls are out here abundantly, like directly, but that's what he was telling me with that saying. But, you know, I was just like, no, she was the one. I need that girl. You know what I'm saying? I, you know, basically cry like a bitch. And sure enough, a week or two later, you know, I would talk to a different girl, you know what I'm saying, hotter than the girl I was talking to before, or on par, or not as hot, just keeping it real. And then sometimes I would talk to even multiple girls, and the cycle would rinse and repeat itself. Oh, no, blah, blah, blah. Now, granted, when you're that young and you're putting yourself out there like I was, you know, even a squirrel is going to get a nut, you know what I'm saying? So, but there was a deep scarcity mindset. It wasn't abundant when I was younger, you know what I'm saying? And so fast forward a little past college, I'm now going, going my own way, I guess you would say. I went through a bad situation with a female, and I'm not, well, excuse me, I'm not, and I'm not going to talk about that situation on this podcast because that's a different podcast itself, but I went through a crazy situation, and that situation, excuse me, that's the allergies kicking in again. That situation made me resent women, and I just went on the grind and started working out. And so long story short, I went to the gym. There used to be a gym called Bally's Fitness, and I started going there, and I would just go ham working out, and I ran into this guy. And, you know, one thing about what I love about the gym is when you go there and people see you working hard, they acknowledge that, they respect that, you know what I mean? And so this guy would talk to me, but at that time I was just like, the fuck are you talking to me for? Because my mindset was just like, yo, I'm just working out hard. I'm not trying to socialize. I'm not trying to be friends. But long story short, me and the guy were talking. Eventually, and we would start working out together because it's just like we were the same age. We were kind of in the same situation. I mean, he was, you know, he just had moved into the Midwest back because he was going to school there and he was living with his parents, so he didn't have any friends. And me, I was just, you know, doing me, just focused. So, you know, we had that synergy. We worked out together. So long story short, this guy was what you would call a natural with women. I mean, he was very, very charismatic, knew how to talk to women, and he knew how to dress his ass off, no homo. But he knew how to dress really good, and that was my first, like, example in life in terms of a guy who was a ladies' man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to put it. And I got to see things because of him that I didn't experience before. And one of the things that you know, and first of all, when you talk to a guy who's naturally good with women from a young age, and you ask him, "Oh, how you doing this?" I mean, you know, because I was a simp even back then. I was just like asking him, "Yo, how are you doing this?" I mean, granted, he was a decent looking guy, but I was just mind blowing how he just had girls curled on his finger. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that he taught me was that you got to be entitled with women and have an abundance mindset. Like, his mindset was always just like, if this girl was tripping on to the next one. He always put himself on a pedestal first. He put his goals on a pedestal first. He put his goals at the gym first, not girls. And women can tell. Women can pick up on that vibe, that it's just like a take it or leave it vibe. And I mean, that's one of the things that abundance is about. Abundance is about knowing that everything out there in life is already there for you to get, but you got to believe in it. It's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? Abundance is a mindset. Your thoughts will make or break you, and this is what a lot of guys don't understand. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's no secret. I used to be very involved in the seduction community. I've met a few guys, and some of these guys were really cool, and some of these guys, I mean, they weren't. Let's just keep it real. And I've met a couple guys one guy I've talked to, he's a good-looking guy, no homo. He looks like Chris O'Donnell. Remember that guy from Batman with George Clooney? He looks like that guy. I'm not like, whatever. I'm not trying to exaggerate or nothing. But long story short, he's a good-looking guy and whatnot, but he's afraid to approach women. And that kind of blew my mind, because it's just like, when I went out with him one time, the type of women he was talking to and the response, and he was getting numbers like nothing. And I'm just thinking to myself, dog, you would kill it in the field. And because the girl didn't call him back, he's like, no, I'm just going to stick to Tinder and online dating. But the thing is, that's a scarcity mindset, and it's a lack of confidence, and you know what I'm saying. When you have a scarcity mindset, you know what I'm saying. Then you don't have the confidence in yourself, and you're not going to be successful, whether it's with women, with fitness, with your job, with business, or with whichever endeavor that you're trying to accomplish. And scarcity is caused by lack of abundance. You know what I'm saying? And so, just to let me keep it real, since this is going to be a long podcast anyway. When I first started to study seduction, everything that I knew already about women, even stuff that I knew, because I already was getting women, but I wasn't getting the type of women I wanted. But I threw it out the window. I just, discarded it. You know what I'm saying? And something happened to me. I developed a frame that became so powerful that it can't be duplicated unless it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people ask, well, how did you become so successful initially, or what did you do? You know what I'm saying? I've had cats ask me that who read my ebook. And that's, honestly, I've never been the best looking guy. You guys see my pictures. I've never been the flashiest in terms of wealth or anything like that. And even with my mouthpiece has never been the most epic mouthpiece. But I've had that frame, and my focus and thought were stronger. And when you have that type of frame, where you're so confident, it seeps through your pores. It just does. Like, women can pick up on it. You feel me? The way you move, your body language. You don't even have to think about it. It's just like, I've had people comment, like people who know me for real. It's crazy. It's crazy, but this is true. I've had people who comment to me and they're like, yo, you're a completely different person, like when we go out. And you know what? I call it the Clark Kent Superman effect. By the way, shout out to my homie Superman. I see you doing big things. I see you doing big things. But real talk, I call it the Clark Kent Superman effect. It's kind of just like, during the day I'd be Clark Kent and just going through life in a clumsy fashion. And then as soon as I went out and there are beautiful women there, I would just change. I would turn up and just change. And all of a sudden, I was the cool guy, the stud muffin, and everybody just wanted to be around me. Girls wanted to be around me. And it was just crazy. And I'm not trying to gas myself, but it was just like, you know, that frame that I had was just a different frame when I went out. It's like I turned into a different person. I don't know how else to describe it. You know what I'm saying? So abundance mentality, I was already aware of it since college, but it didn't manifest itself until I went to the seduction community, because then it came to a point where I was juggling multiple women. And it came to a point where I couldn't handle them all, because it was a point where, you know, I was working 2 jobs, and you're juggling 3 or 4 women. It's already enough to juggle 1 or 2, but 3 or 4, it just became like, yo, I just, you know what I'm saying? It became kind of like what Snowplow said. It's like you can't get them all, you know what I'm saying? And Snowplow, a.k.a. Distant Light, he's a buddy of mine, and I used to read his journal religiously back in the day in 2008 and 9, because his mindset was so different than anybody else at that time in the seduction community. And one thing that he mentioned a story about how there was a girl who was really trying to get with him. This girl was really, really wanting to get with him, to the point that the girl showed up at his college and called him outside when he was in class and said, yo, I'm outside of your class, come outside. Because the fact of the matter is he had 14 girls at the time, and he was 19 years old, and this is in New York, by the way. But he had 14 girls at the time that he was texting or talking to or trying to juggle, and he just couldn't. I mean, when you have that many girls, I don't care if you're 19 or 50, you just don't have that type of time to deal with them all. So this girl wanted him so bad that she showed up to his school and waited outside, and he was just like, damn, you know what I mean? And so abundance is a mindset, and it begins consciously, and then when you believe it consciously, it manifests itself unconsciously, and then boom. And some of you guys have probably heard of the law of abundance, and I'm not really going to get into all of that because you can Google that and look that up, but that's real, okay? It's real. The universe has everything that you need bestowed upon it. You just got to have that mindset that is there, that is there for the taking, that is there for the taking. There's a quote that Will Smith said to his son Jaden in the movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but that's where Will Smith was playing The Pursuit of Happiness. And, you know, Will Smith was talking to his son. They were in a basketball court. And Will Smith, I don't know, something happened with his son where, you know, he was told something. Will Smith said to his son, if you want something, you got to go get it. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you're not good enough. They're just telling that to you because they can't do it. You want something, go get it. And I'm paraphrasing the quote. But that quote, when Will Smith said that shit, excuse my language, but when he said that, dog, it resonated so deeply with me because it's true. It just resonated with me. And I live by that. I believe in that quote so strongly because I've seen what it has done for me in my own life. You know, that's the only thing I can say. And so the law of abundance produces an abundance of whatever you choose to think about and focus on the most. So if you're focusing on your lack of success with women, then that's what your mind is going to think about the most. If you're focusing on your lack of success at your job or in college, your studies, then that's what your mind is going to think about the most. You have to get to a place and a point where even if you think about it, that negative energy, you acknowledge it, you do, but then you reframe it. You reframe that energy and say, okay, I acknowledge that. That's my fear. That's my insecurity right now. But I'm going to make that insecurity into my biggest strength. That's powerful. That's powerful. The power of thought will dictate your success or your failure. You know what I'm saying? And so to take me for instance, let me use my own story is a testimonial. Last year, flashback, 2014, same time, March, doesn't have to be the 18th, but last year, flashback. I was so focused and driven to lose weight that I worked hard. I was in the gym like a lunatic. I was working hard. I was eating good. I was still partying, too. I'm not going to lie. I was out, doing my thing. But I was so focused and so motivated that nobody could tell me nothing. And so when I compare my progress this year to that, it's not even a comparison, and I want to get back to that level. But the reality is when it comes to motivation, you're going to lose motivation in life. You are. That's a fact. You're going to lose motivation or motivation is going to go down in life. But that's where discipline comes in. Discipline where you have patterns of repetitious behavior that make you successful. And when you have discipline, even when you lose motivation or motivation goes down, you still have a plan and effect that makes you successful. And to be honest, that's what I'm struggling with right now, is I have the blueprint to what makes me successful, whether it's at the gym, with my diet, or with women, whatever. But the discipline has been lacking severely. That's just the reality, the state of the game. And so I'm focused on bringing that discipline back so that even when the motivation is not at a level, because in life, motivation goes up and down due to circumstances or just, different things. And so that's what I'm focused on, is getting that discipline back. You know what I'm saying? And the most important part is when you start to lose that mindset of abundance, the power of positivity, make sure you stay away from negative people. Stay away from negative television, negative news, negative energy. Because this negativity is so easy, dog. It's so easy to be negative. It's so easy to fall into that trap and drink the Kool-Aid of negativity. And you got to stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? I used to chill with a guy named Floyd. We used to hit the field back in the day when I used to be heavy in the field. And every time we would go out, it was the same thing. The guy would always talk about how ugly the girls were, how lame the venue was, and how girls were better in the state that he was from originally, down south. And it came to a point where it was no fun hanging with that guy, because every time I hung out with him, it was always about things weren't good enough. The girls weren't good enough. The venue wasn't good enough. The drinks weren't good enough. Nothing was good enough. And eventually two things happen. Either you're going to become negative or you're going to be like, dude, you fucking negative. Get the fuck away from me. And that's what happened. I mean, it was just a point where I couldn't hang out with him anymore. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but it was just like some people use negativity to bring you down or bring a situation down to make themselves feel better. And it was just like one of those situations that I was just like, you know what? You're not helping me elevate. And I want to elevate. You know what I'm saying? And, there are other people that I've dealt with that have that. But abundance is a mentality of being successful in whatever you do and being positive. And that's what I'm trying to get back to, is that abundance mentality. And it's not easy because, life is going to knock you down. You're going to go through some setbacks, and it can become hard to get back to a level that you were at previously or try to elevate. But all we can do is keep going, because I want to be better today than I was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I want to not just encourage and inspire myself, but also other people, because I've encouraged and inspired other people. But I know that, you know what I'm saying, that even though I'm going through this right now, eventually, when you get to that next level, I'll be better for it. You know what I'm saying? So the power of your thoughts, abundance, you have to believe that, first of all, that you can do it. Because without that belief, without that faith, you can't do shit. You got to believe in your mind that, I can get this chick. And even if you don't get her, at least you put your best foot forward and tried. But like Wayne Gretzky said, you know what I'm saying? You gotta take the shot. A shot. If you didn't take the shot, then you would never know. And I'm paraphrasing once again. You know what I'm saying? So abundance is real. The power of your thoughts is real. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't believe me, I mean, Google it, look it up. The psychology of all of it is real. You know, and I'm not trying to be on some science mumbo-jumbo, pseudo new enlightenment shit, but what it comes down to is that whatever you believe to be true or false will dictate your moves in life. Think about that for a second. You know what I mean? So the state of the game right now, guys, is like, right now I'm still in the grind. I'm still in the trenches. I'm still in the gym, struggling with some things, you know what I'm saying? Struggling with getting my frame. Not just with women, but just in general, more importantly, with things that matter the most in life. You know what I mean? And I mean, this mindset of abundance can apply to anything. Like I said, like I said, last year I was motivated with losing the weight that I didn't even care about women or dating. I was so focused on busting my ass that's all I cared about was hitting the gym, and it became like consistency and a religion for me. And that's what I'm trying to get back to. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get back to that level. You know what I'm saying? And I know that different things will make you motivated. There's some people who are already motivated like this, but even if you're not motivated, like I said, there's discipline to be had. You know what I mean? People who are successful, they're not always going to be motivated, but they have that discipline that breeds that success. And that's what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like a lot of things with this self-improvement thing, a lot of things for me is just more like, okay, what are my deficiencies and how can I get better? There are a lot of dudes, a lot of people who won't do that. Like this morning I was reading a little thing on Reddit about Jerry Rice, about how Jerry Rice became the best NFL wide receiver. And it talked about his impeccable work ethic, about how he would, like, just do crazy workouts, different workouts, to keep his endurance at a high rate. And how he, you know, there's some guys who wanted to work out with Jerry, and how they just couldn't keep up, and you know, they just couldn't keep up with him. But he had that discipline to work hard, because he didn't want to lose his spot. He just didn't want to lose his place. He didn't want to fail. He was afraid of failing. And that pushed him to be so successful that he ended up being the best receiver in NFL history. And if you don't agree with me, then you don't know shit about football. And then also I would read, I read in the same thing, I read about Michael Jordan, about how Michael Jordan would spend his summers working on deficiencies in his game. And when Michael Jordan first started, he was not the best post player. Michael was not the best defensively. He was not the best jump shooter, but he would work every summer to the point where when Michael became the greatest basketball player, you could say that he wasn't deficient in any of these. So for the next 3 months, I'm just going to do a challenge for myself, and you guys can do it as well. This challenge, I kind of already did this last year. I did it in my own way. But a guy named Last of the Alphas, he posted this on Soul Suave, and he posted it, and it's called Focus on Yourself for 3 months. Hit the gym at least 3 days per week. Read 30 pages of a good book per night. Do not worry about women. But bury yourself in work each and every day. Visit an art gallery once a week. Reconnect with old friends. And most importantly, do not worry about women. Focus on yourself for 3 months. Do you for 3 months and make the improvements you've been wanting to make. 3 months, no women, focus on yourself. Got it? Good. And one of the things, I already hit the gym 3 times a week. I don't read enough. Do not worry about women. That's hit or miss for me. Because the only time I really worry about women is when, you know, I don't have enough in my life, I guess. Bury yourself in work each and every day. I already do that. Visit an art gallery once a week. I already do that. Probably will add, what else would I add to this? I mean, watching my diet, obviously, for me, that's a personal thing, you know. But I think that's very important. You know, and I challenge you in the next 3 months to focus on yourself in whichever level you're trying to attain, to do it. 3 months is not a long time. If you can sacrifice 3 months, sky's the limit. And so I know it's not going to be an easy thing. I'll check in 3 months from now, and, you know, I mean, hopefully we'll have some positive tales, and I know we will, you know. Please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that always. I appreciate you guys' feedback. Let me know what you guys think I can improve on, topics you want to hear me discuss. But yeah, please subscribe. It's your boy Solo. You know, stay blessed. Spring is coming up. Let's get it this year. 2015. It's your year, man. Remember that.